How's it going, YouTube? We're here in my shop today. We're going to do a quick tech video on parts of a turbo system. A lot of my friends, have questions about blow-off valves and wastegates and turbo size and parts of the turbo, different materials. So I just laid some stuff out, borrowed some stuff from Martin's turbo kit that hopefully we'll be putting together soon, Martin. And we'll go over this stuff and kind of give a brief, quick explanation of everything so that if you're gonna build a turbo kit for your car, or you're at a car meet and someone says, I've got this wastegate or I've got this turbo, you kind of have a little bit of an understanding of what they're talking about. First thing we'll talk about is the turbo. So there's a million different turbos out there, stock, factory, race, and everything in between. When someone says that they have an 88mm turbo, what they're referring to is this compressor wheel inside here. That's the first number that designates a turbo size. I've got a 71, I've got twin 88s, I've got a 106, I've got a 118. And then you'll hear some people say I've got an 8891. So what they're referring to there is you've got an 88 front side, 91 back side. And I'll take this apart real quick and show you a little bit more what they're talking about. Alright, so the turbo that I've got on the table today is Turbonetics 88mm Y2K Thumper. And that's kind of Turbonetics' designation for a race turbo. They came out with the Thumper probably close to 10 years ago, and the name still continues on. It's like their badass turbo. I have this turbo on my car, except it's an 80mm, and it doesn't have the polished cover, and mine isn't a billet wheel either. So what we'll do is we'll take off the compressor cover here. Some people call this the front cover, the snail, because it kind of looks like a snail. And then what we've got is our compressor wheel under the cover. Now, this is a billet wheel, their Y2K wheel. When someone says they have an 88mm turbo, what they're talking about is from tip to tip on the inducer side of the wheel. So you have the inducer side and the exducer side. That's more technical, really not important when you're telling someone what turbo you have. What you're talking about is tip to tip on the inlet side of this wheel, and then when you get down in the curves, that's the exducer side. So how this works is there's a shaft that runs through the middle of the whole turbo. You have your compressor side, is where your cold air is. You have your turbine side, which is where your hot air is. And in the middle is what I call the cartridge. It's where the bearings are and where the oil flows through. I'll take the back side off the turbo and hold it up so you can see what it looks like without any of the covers on. Okay, I guess it's worth mentioning that this turbo, there are three sections. They're held together by V-band clamps, one on the exhaust side and one on the compressor side. Some turbos bolt together. They'll have 6 or 8 bolts around each cover. The more expensive, better quality turbos have V-bands on them. This is the exhaust housing again, and I'm going to pull the cartridge up out of the exhaust housing. And this is basically your cartridge for your turbo. You have your compressor wheel and your turbine wheel. So this is the side that the exhaust spins. After it comes out of your engine, through your headers or manifolds, through your tubing, the exhaust spins this side. The center shaft connects it to the compressor side, and you suck cold air, ambient air in. It compresses it and pushes it into your engine, boosting it. So oil is fed through the center section to keep all the bearings and everything lubricated. And then this is basically your sealing plate here that seals the exhaust into the exhaust side. And then there's a small seal behind the compressor wheel that keeps all your compressed air on the other side of the turbo. So that is basically what a turbo looks like taken apart. One more thing worth mentioning on this turbo is the inlet here. This is called a bell mouth, or an inlet bell. Basically what this does is it slides over the compressor housing and gives the air a nice smooth path towards your compressor wheel. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. A lot of guys, race car stuff, will run a bell mouth. You can run an air filter on here, you can run a turbo guard screen, or you can have a tube that goes out to the front of the car to help catch air as well. Okay, got the turbo set aside. Next thing we're going to talk about is blow-off valve and wastegate. I know a lot of people get these confused. A lot of customers will call me and we'll be talking about blow-off valves, and what they're actually meaning to talk to me about is a wastegate. The main difference is wastegate is for exhaust gas. Blow-off valve is for charge air, or the cold side of your turbo. What this does is relieve boost pressure when you let off the throttle to help save the compressor wheel in the turbo. So when you let off the gas, this sees vacuum and it opens and it releases all the pressure that's compressed in the cold side of your turbo kit. That's like all the Supras you hear, the different sounding blow-off valves. Race cars, we use procharger valves, and that's just a big rush of air. Wastegates go on the exhaust side of your turbo kit, and this is what controls boost level. What its job is exhaust pressure before it gets to the turbo is on the bottom side of the wastegate. And what this is it basically bleeds off exhaust gas before it gets to the turbo. So as this diaphragm opens and closes, it allows exhaust gas to come out of the exit port, and that's what controls boost. You can also add pressure to the top, change springs and all that. I'll get into that in a different video. So just remember, blow-off valve is cold air, and then wastegate is hot air. Alright, so I've got all the bolts out of the top side of the wastegate. Normally there's spring pressure inside of this. I took the springs out just so I can take it apart and show you how it works. So under the top cover of the wastegate, you can see there's an orange diaphragm here. Most of the time they are orange. And this center part right here is attached to the plunger on the bottom side of the wastegate. So what happens is, when your car starts building boost, this gets a reference from your turbo. So say you're making 10 pounds of boost, there's going to be 10 pounds of pressure on the bottom side of this wastegate. And what happens is, as the pressure increases, the wastegate diaphragm will start to expand and open like that. I'll show you on the bottom side. You should be able to see the puck moving, and then from this side too. So basically what this does is it uses boost pressure as a reference, and when it gets to whatever the spring pressure is, it starts to open, and then it relieves exhaust gas before the turbo and slows the turbo down, basically making less boost. A lot of people think that a blow-off valve is what controls boost. It doesn't. All this does is relieve pressure when you let off the throttle. This is what actually controls how much boost your car makes. I got a couple different springs here. You can see they come in different sizes, different colors, and each spring has a pound rating to it. So this could be a 3-pound spring, and this could be a 4-pound spring. You put them together like this, and you get 7 pounds. So when you put this together, you put your springs in, put your top of your wastegate on, push it together and bolt it down. And then when this gets a boost reference on the bottom side of the diaphragm, it has to compress 7 pounds worth of spring pressure before it opens. And that's what controls your boost. There's 3 basic materials that you'll find in a turbo kit: aluminum, stainless, and mild steel. The difference is they do different things better than the other. Mild steel is inexpensive and it works. It's easy to weld, and if you mess up, you can fix it easily. Stainless steel is strong, welds great, and is better at holding heat, and it also will not rust. If you look at this piece of mild steel, you can see it started to rust a little bit. If you're going to look at a turbo kit, someone says, hey, I've got stainless steel headers for a turbo kit. The easiest way to tell if it's stainless steel is it will not be magnetic. So this is a piece of mild steel. You can see the magnet sticks right to it. So if someone says they have a stainless steel turbo kit, take a magnet with you. See if it sticks. If it sticks, it's mild steel. This is a stainless V-band assembly that I cut off of a set of headers. You can see the magnet will not stick to it. That's how you know it's stainless. The same with this flange here. The magnet doesn't stick to it, so you know it's stainless. Aluminum, you can always tell aluminum, it'll usually be this color, kind of a brighter silver, and it's lightweight. It's really light. This probably weighs 1/3 of what this tube does. Aluminum is what most people choose to use on the cold side of their turbo system, the intercooler tubing and stuff like that. And normally when you buy a blow-off valve, it's going to be all aluminum as well and come with an aluminum coupler so you can weld it onto your aluminum tubing. Stainless steel is definitely what's preferred for your hot side Like I said, it's a little harder to work with, but it will not rust, and it's good at holding its heat. It doesn't fatigue as easily as mild steel does. The other thing that you might find in a turbo kit is a bellow or a flex coupler. If your engine is not solid mounted, if it has the ability to move, you need one of these in your turbo kit, because what this does is it'll give just a little bit. You can see it doesn't move that much, but it's enough to keep your welds from cracking and stuff like that. V-bands are something else you're going to see in a lot of turbo kits. This is the preferred way of coupling two pieces of tubing together that need to be removable. So usually you'll find a V-band clamp on the end of a header, or from your header to your hot side of your turbo kit that goes to your turbo, you'll find a V-band clamp. You can get those in stainless, aluminum, mild steel. You can get them any way you want. This is a T6 turbo flange. This is what would go on a turbo this size. T6 is always going to be 4 bolt, and what it refers to is the amount of area you have in here is going to be your T6 style flange. A T4, you probably cut a third off of this, and that's how big a T4 flange is going to be. I don't do anything smaller than that. They make T3, they make all sorts of different weird shaped flanges for different turbos. And then now what they're doing is, instead of having a 4 bolt flange on your turbo, they're V-banding the turbine housings now too. So basically right off of your header, you'll have a V-band like this, and your turbo will sit right on it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm gonna go enjoy this beautiful weather. Anyone who's in Florida, this video will come out after Hurricane Irma goes through. I hope everyone made it out safe. Take care of yourselves. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And as always, check out John Dock on YouTube. He's kind of my mentor, walking me through all this stuff. Comment, like, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers. I'm over 300 already, and this will only be the 3rd video that I've put out. I appreciate everyone's support. Please keep supporting me. Give me your suggestions. What do you want to see? Like I said, I've got stuff everywhere. We can do more in-depth tech with turbo kits. I think what I'll probably do is I'll take the bike out this week, and we'll do a little video on that. In the meantime, take care. Thank you.